毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンクライブです。毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンクライブです。お見逃しなくよう皆様どうぞご覧ください。
I think it's very good for us to visit you and great to see you here in Tokyo, Japan. You've been doing great work over the years and your think tank, Kyukoku think tank is very important vehicle.
Thank you.
So we are very happy to visit you, especially at this particular juncture, because soon, this Wednesday will mark President Trump's first 100 days for his second Trump presidency. So it's a very timely conversation we are having. I think what we are looking at is, obviously, we are not here to represent or defend President Trump. We are independent thinkers, but we see what's happening in Washington. And I think that his vision is we want to rebuild an America where freedom, opportunity, prosperity, and civil society flourish.
Yes.
I think that's the kind of the principles and the big picture that can unite United States, Japan together.
Yes.
And your think tank role is towards that. So we are really pleased to visit you and have this conversation.
Oh, very good. I think so. So, I think we have to promote the free trade between USA and Japan. So, what should I do for the free trade between two?
If I may, before Dr. Gartner adds his perspective, keep doing what you have been doing here in Japan, Yuya. For example, you've been advocating smaller government, effective, efficient government, and tax cuts, deregulation, and all those. They are very important when it comes down to making the Japanese economy more competitive, more dynamic, creating more opportunities for people. Just keep doing what you are doing. In the United States, we will do the same. We will do limited government, free enterprise, and greater efficiency, all these policy conversations which are necessary, we will pursue, we'll do things that we can do as soon as possible. You asked, this economic relationship between Japan and United States, very important. But let's keep in mind, trading relationship is one dimension. There can be bigger dimension when it comes down to economic partnership. That is investment partnership. That's where we can work together. The global Japanese companies, United States, we can work together. We know China has been polluting global trading system. They've been taking advantage of being a member of WTO, but they haven't followed the rule put by WTO. In the name of being a developing country. So President Trump, for example, no, not anymore. We need a fair trade, not this kind of strange free trade with China. That's what's been happening. That's why, once again, Japan's partnership with the United States is more important than ever.
So, Japanese media reports the United States has shifted from free trade to protectionism. Is it true or not?
It is not true. The United States will be a nation where, once again, free enterprise, markets will flourish and not government directives or some kind of intervention. So for now, we're going through this phase, this period of reconfiguration. So this is a bit too much for people to say, United States all of a sudden becoming a protectionist nation. This is a step towards to create greater economic dynamism in the United States, but as well as working with our willing and like-minded partners like Japan to spread those opportunities and prosperity.
Yes, absolutely. And I think to add to Anthony's excellent points that the goal of the U.S. administration actually is to to advance free and fair trade, and we don't see that right now, of course, with China. In fact, China's role in the international trading system is very destructive, and the Chinese Communist Party does not believe in free and fair trade. So Trump is trying to force them actually to agree to that. And at the same time, also, President Trump is taking on the European Union as well. And the EU talks about free trade, but actually doesn't practice it.
I think so.
In fact, the EU has huge tariff barriers against the United States. You look at the tariffs that they impose on, for example, US auto imports into the EU or agricultural imports. They probably apply, no doubt, these same tariffs against Japan as well. And so President Trump has thrown down the gauntlet actually to the European Union, to the bureaucrats of Brussels. And he's saying, why didn't you lift your tariffs? In fact, in the first Trump presidency, President Trump said to the EU, look, if you remove all of your tariffs, we'll remove ours. The EU refused to do that, actually. And President Trump made that offer. And now the EU is blaming President Trump over the tariffs. But the European Union operates as the biggest protectionist racket in the world, alongside China, of course. In fact, the way the EU operates is actually not that different to the Chinese Communist Party in terms of the thinking. It's big government, sort of communist style, thinking there. And so Trump is challenging that. And let's see if the European Union lifts their trading barriers. And let's see how dedicated they are actually in reality to freedom of trade.
I think EU is like Soviet Union. Do you think so?
Actually, I fully agree. I like that comparison. And I think that the European Union operates in some respects somewhere between the Soviet Union and the Chinese Communist Party. And that's, they take ideas from both Moscow and Beijing, and so and the EU actually, it's not about freedom. It's about supranational power that really suppresses national sovereignty. And so the fact that no European government can negotiate its own trade deals, they've got to rely upon some bureaucrats sitting in Brussels to do their trade negotiations for them. That doesn't strike me as freedom, actually. That's the sort of thing the Soviet Union used to do with regard to its communist satellites. And so, we believe at the Heritage Foundation in freedom. And we don't see a lot of freedom coming from the European Union, actually. So they've got this communist mindset. And they behave like the old, as you said, like the old Soviet Union, actually. And that's not a good thing. That they should free themselves of the shackles of big government socialism, really.
お二人はどうですか?
I absolutely agree with you, with what you explained. So I think so. But I'm very worried about the time when the progressive part of the leftists was lasted. So the ordinary people now, so their mind is for dependency. So most of the ordinary people. So of course the conservative people like freedom, but so usual people like dependence. So what should their mentality or opinions reform do?
Very good question.
If I could respond to that, because I think you make a very important point there, that the left has created a culture of dependency upon big government.
Big government, yes.
And also they have brought in my view, a very destructive left-wing sort of cultural agenda. And I think that what Trump's election victory did was it threw out this kind of left-wing agenda, and so the fight back begins.
Common sense.
Common sense.
Yes. But the left have had so much power for so long that they will desperately try to hold on to that, of course, through the media, through left-wing judges, trying to stop conservative agenda. But this election in the United States was a huge game changer. Because it was a fundamental rejection, I think, of of left-wing, so-called progressive ideology, I would say, and the left tried to create this dependency upon big government, but at the end of the day, I think most American people believe in freedom, and that's why Trump won, because they believe actually in individual freedom, and whereas Joe Biden, Kamala Harris represented really this kind of very very dangerous socialist ideology that creates this dependency culture, and you can see the effects of socialism all over Europe, all over Latin America, many different parts of the world, and so on. And we've got to fight against socialism, and that's what the battle is right now. As America is ensuring that socialism does not come back to the United States. But I like the point you make about dependency, because that's the way the left tries to hold on to power. It's creating this dependency mindset culture, and it's so destructive, actually.
毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンクライブです。毎週木曜日5時半から救国シンクタンクライブです。お見逃しなくよう皆様どうぞご覧ください。
日本には近代政党が必要だ。自分の政策与奪の権を政治家に任せていってはいけない。ましてや官僚をシンクタンクにしている政治家に任せたら何をされるかわからない。
規制が増えたり税が増えたりすると政府の力ってのはどんどん強くなっていく。でそうすると自分たちの意思とは関係ない政治とか社会の意思決定がなされていく。
それが環境に役立つのか役に立たないのかという人は大勢いたんですが、そもそも手続きとしておかしい。民主国家というのはこれ基本的に手続きの世界なんですよね。
目的は一つで、日本が地球上で文明国として生き残るため。